Okay.
Do you want me to just look at you most of the time?
Yeah, you just
Okay.
look here. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah. I don't know if it's even doing much. It might be bouncing a little bit.
That was one thing I watched Gary Vee. One of the things he talked about is like, production will never trump story.
Sure.
It's like his whole point was like Martin Luther King didn't have high def, and yet we listen to what he said, and it's impactful. Like,
Sure.
The quality of the
Don't get stuck on
yeah.
on the gear part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially coming as a photographer. Like,
Yeah.
The first thing you're like, why did I get a camera and all this?
Yeah.
So we'll just start out with your name, who you are, and how old you are.
My name is Josh Huskin. I'm a photographer. I live in San Antonio. I mostly photograph people, and that's from any kind of assignments for photograph people, but mostly it's in the editorial and advertising range. So, yeah.
Cool. And you have several like companies going on. And you have like your photography stuff, but you also have that 4-5.
Yeah. So I do photography, and then I also have so me and 3 other people do this photo festival called 4x5 Photo Fest. And so this coming up will be our 4th one. And that's just like a photo festival that we've put together for the community. So we have like artist talks, and so we bring in artists to do artist talks, and we have artists show work, we have booths and all sorts of things. So it's just like a free event.
Is that here in San Antonio?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we've had it 3 years. We were gonna have one this fall in 2019. We've been having them in the fall, but we've just all been really busy, and so I think we're pushing it to. We're gonna try for the spring for 2020 for the 4th one. So yeah.
All right. I want to like go back to your childhood. Give a background of like where you grew up, what kind of kid you were, where you were born, just
Sure.
kind of the origin story.
So I was born in Abilene, Texas, kind of west Texas, and I was there until 1st grade. Then we moved to San Angelo, which is just down the road, like an hour. My dad bought a company called Overhead Doors, a franchise garage door company. So we moved to San Angelo for that, and that's where I grew up. So I was in San Angelo. Did it stop?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So I grew up in San Angelo. There, I went to high school there, and I lived there until I was almost 19 when I moved here. I moved to San Antonio when I was 19. But yeah, San Angelo was it's a small town. I mean, it's about 100,000 people, so it's not like the smallest of towns, but it wasn't like San Antonio. We had 2 high schools. But I was still graduated with 800 people in my class. So it's not like a super small school where there's 50 people, But yeah, it was a cool town. I mean, I played some sports in high school. I played soccer and did track and cross country. And then I was playing a lot of music. So I stopped playing sports and I started playing music, I got too cool for sports because I wanted to play whatever punk rock music that I was, and so I was doing that. I went to Angelo State, so there's a college there. I got a college scholarship in 8th grade. There was this program that they had. You had to be under a certain level of income with your family, depending on how many kids your parents had. So in 8th grade, I got the scholarship, and the deal is that you'd only miss so many days of school, and you couldn't fail a class through the rest of junior high and high school. They give you a full ride to college.
Wow.
So it was pretty neat. That said, I went to college for 3 semesters, and you couldn't fail a class in college either. So if you failed a class in college, you also lose it. So it's pretty intense. I went to college for like 3 semesters, and then I was playing music and not caring about school as much, and didn't want to be there anymore. So
That's like, sorry, you know, like
Yeah.
that's someone that's like involved in your life from like 8th grade for years. You have to have this thing
yeah.
that's kind of
And-
always in the back of your mind.
Yeah, so they had a bunch, like I can't remember how many kids in my class got it. It was probably like 25 kids or something, 25 or 30 maybe. It was like a decent amount of scholarships that they gave out. I'm curious if they're still doing it, I'm not sure. But so I went to Angelo State for graphic design and for, a year and a half. And then whenever I dropped out, I moved here to San Antonio, and I think my mom might still be mad at me for that, but she's proud of me now, I think. But then I think it was a pretty big deal,
Yeah. So did you drop out to do photography, or when did that?
No. So when I lived in San Angelo, I ended up getting a job at a photo studio there, but I was just doing printing and like color correction and retouching. So I was doing all the back end stuff. So he taught me all that. So I worked there for about a year and a half.
This is what
This
year?
is 2003.
Okay.
So his name was Tom Clemens. He had like the contract for the high school, like senior photos. So like all the seniors had to come to him to be in the yearbook. And then he would, do all the rest of their senior photos. So like I was just, photoshopping like high school senior pimples off their faces and all that stuff. And then we had this big 48-inch roll printer. So I would do test prints, and then I would just send all the stuff to print every night, and the thing would just print all night long. And so I kind of learned the back end of photography that way. But then I was. You good?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, the light changes. The light changes in here.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing with video. It's like handling.
Lighting changing. Yeah. So I was there, and I was doing all the printing and retouching, but in my head, like that's what photography was like what he was doing, like family photos and seniors, and I knew, like, I remember clearly just being like, this is not what I want to do. Like I would tell people all the time, like, yeah, this is a cool job, that I'm not gonna do this. Like I want to do something else. Like I just didn't like it. Like I didn't want to photograph seniors, and nothing against people that do that. It wasn't for me. Like I just, and so I moved. Whenever I was there in San Angelo, me and some friends, we opened a music venue called the Phoenix, and it was like just an all ages music venue. Our other one in town had shut down. So we opened this place and ran that for about a year before I moved here. And so we brought in all sorts of bands and just kind of booked shows, and it didn't make money at all. Like I think we just barely made rent every month, and like we weren't personally making any money doing it. It was just like we just loved music and just wanted to see good bands. And so I was doing that, and at the same time I was playing music a lot, and I ended up meeting a bunch of people from San Antonio that had come out to play, that are still some of my best friends now. They had come out with their band to play at the venue, and so like I had met all them and like started talking to them a bunch, and just probably on AOL Instant Messenger or on the phone. I don't think there was texting then. I don't quite remember. This is like AOL and MySpace days. So yeah, all the good stuff, right? So I was like kind of just like meeting all these people that I really liked, and ended up like moving. I started dating a girl named Stephanie who was in one of the bands, and we had been talking a bunch. And so I moved. She lived here, so I moved here, and I moved here because I had joined a band here, so I was coming here every weekend to see my girlfriend and to practice with this band I joined. And they all lived in Bernie. So I was coming here and just hanging out. And so then me and some of my friends from San Angelo decided to move here. So 3 of us moved here, got an apartment, and that band ended up, we stayed in that band for, we stopped playing like '09, I think. So with that band, it ended up being called Lion Weight, and we toured and did a bunch of stuff. So we would like every winter and summer, we would go out on the road and like drive all over the country in this beat up van and play shows. And it was fun. Once again, we didn't make any money doing it. We barely we'd get enough gas money to get to the next town, but it was just so much fun. That was like some of the best times. But so where photo is related in that, so I was working at that studio in San Angelo. When I moved here, I needed a job, obviously, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start looking at some photo studios in town and just seeing if I could do the same thing because I already know how to do it. And I didn't want to work like a customer service job or work with food or something. So I already knew how to do that. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll try it and call around some places. So I just started looking in the phone book and calling up businesses. So I
Like the physical phone book.
yeah, phone book, yeah. We're old, right? So yeah, I was looking up, I called a place, it was called Cody Harris. They came in and gave me an interview, and I think he wanted me to like restore this old picture. He's like, yeah, try it, like, here's your interview, like restore this picture. He's like, I'm gonna go get some lunch and come back. It's like, so I just sat there and worked on this photo in Photoshop and fixed it up as best I could. He came back and ended up giving me a job. And so it was the same kind of stuff. They did a lot of like daycare photos, which is like, I think even worse than senior photos. And I just definitely didn't want to be doing that either, Yeah. So like I went from photoshopping pimples off of seniors to snot and drool off of toddlers. So I'm really good at that stuff now. So I worked there for a few years, and during that time I was still playing music, and it actually kind of worked out with that job because they were slower in the summers and winter than they were like during the school year. So it worked out because I could be like, hey, I'm gonna leave for 4 weeks in the middle of the summer and go on tour. And they were slow there, so they were like, cool, we don't have to pay you for 4 weeks, see you later, So it worked out really well. And during that time doing music, I started booking shows here and kind of the same stuff. I started borrowing the camera, or started playing with the camera more and taking it from work and borrowing it, and they were fine with it, let me use it. But then I started photographing my friends and musicians and bands and stuff, and kind of figured out that you could do other things with the camera besides what I had seen over the past few years. This is probably, I'm trying to think what year this would be. This is probably 2009.
Do you remember what camera it was that you were using at the time?
I think they were using like Olympus digital cameras. They had like a DSLR, so that's what they had. But I ended up buying like a Canon like XTI, not XTI, maybe that's what it was. Whatever the Rebel was, like in 2009-ish. Yeah. I bought it from my friend Jordan and started playing with it more. So I was like photographing all my friends and like figuring out like how to use lights to change situations instead of like, I'd shoot some stuff with natural light, but then I was trying to play with other things with colors and lights and trying to be creative in the aspect of it and figure out how could I make this look different than what it is, to the naked eye. And I kind of like just started getting pretty obsessed with it and like just doing it all the time. And this is like 2008, 2009. And
this is with that same Canon.
Yeah. So.
And what lens did you have?
Oh, I don't remember. I think. I think there was I had a kit lens, but then I had bought like some kind of like Sigma like 10 to 20 like super wide. I was photographing bands, like wide angle was like the cool look, right? You know, so at least then, you know. And then I think I ended up buying like just like that nifty 50 that Canon makes, like the $80 51.8, and just be like, this lens is amazing, you know. Um, and so I didn't have like, I think my first flash was like just like a old Canon speedlight. It was like a 540 EZ. So it was a speedlight that didn't have any kind of like TTL or auto on it. So I just had to figure out how to make it work with what I was doing. And I think that really helped me in the beginning because I didn't have any kind of automatic setting to lean on it. I just had to be like, all right, well, this thing turns on and it has power adjustments. And I have to figure out how to make it look how I want it to look without it telling me how it should go. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't just like let the technology do it. You know, I'm sure the TTL stuff's got a lot better now, but I still just shoot everything manual just because it's easier for me to be able to just control it and really dial it in. But yeah, so it was kind of a long ramble thinking of.
No, it's good.
So that girl I was dating, Stephanie, we ended up getting married. So we're married now, we have a kid. So, you know, moving here, I'm not playing that band anymore, but, you know, I'm still with the same, you know, with Steph. So it worked out good.
Yeah.
And I really love San Antonio. It's a cool town. But yeah, so that was like 2008, 2009. I think, I'm trying to think of how I got to where so I don't know, is this rambling too much? Tell me what you want me to talk about. Just keep telling stories.
Well, so one.
I catch that thing.
I know.
Freaking gnat.
One of the things I'm really interested in is I kind of want to let you keep rambling there for a minute.
Yeah.
But, you know, the things like a lot of stuff you're talking about is the things that happen, you know, 10 years ago, like today, are actually coming to fruition.
Yeah.
So like all these things that started, initiated then, didn't really start coming up. But like, so like, there's a lot of similarities between like my story and your story. Like,
yeah.
Obviously different, but getting introduced to it and realizing like what everyone thinks photography is, like that's not what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Then also like just having that audacity to just be like, let's do the band thing, and you're like, we're making money, but like I'm interested in that decision making of how that initiated and like the money, the business side of it kind of happened. Just give a little glimpse into.
So like in music stuff, I was playing like this like punk hardcore band, and in that kind of like music scene, it's all like this kind of like DIY kind of like community where not everyone's really there to make money at all. So it's like, I mean, there are some of those bands that end up making money, but it was just kind of like, we're gonna go out and play like someone's garage in like Fresno, California in the middle of the summer. Yeah. And it's 110 degrees. And after the set, like I played drums. So after the set, I was just be drenched and just like laying on the ground. But it was just like this exhilarating like experience where we'd just be like out playing these places. And so there would be days where we would play like a show. We did like this run of shows in Southern California on a tour with this band Half Heart and Soul Control. I can't remember who the third band was, but so we did this like, I think it was Verse. So we played these 3 shows in Southern California, and we had San Diego and then Anaheim. So we played these like sold out shows. There was probably like, I don't know. They weren't there to see us, but we just opened. But so we played these like crazy shows, and then we drove up the coast. We played like a house show in Fresno. We played like a smaller show like north San Francisco. And then it was like Seattle, Portland, Salt Lake City. And all three of those shows were like 10 people. So it's like there was like these ups and downs in it. And you were just like traveling and getting to see all these like really cool places.
What was the genesis of it? When was it like, yeah, we should do this band? Like what?
I think we were all just young and just had like energy, you know? Like,
were you thinking about jobs or like
no,
business? It was
no,
just like,
no
this is
way.
fun.
Yeah, it was all this is fun. Yeah. At that point, there was no like, we're gonna do this forever and this is gonna be our career. I very much knew at that point that like, this is not what I want to do. Like, this isn't what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. But like, I'm 19, 20 years old, 21, and like, just kind of getting to go around the country with my friends. And I really I like traveling in a car. Like you get to see so much more, you get to see stuff. Like, we're in a van, but I like driving by automobile versus plane. Now that I'm getting older, the plane's easier because it gets you there faster. But there's just something about getting in your car and like just driving and like getting to just see the landscape change and like being out places and small towns and stuff that I really enjoy. But it was not we were not out there like trying to make a business or make money. Like, I mean, it would be like, I remember like thinking about money because it would be like, okay, we're gonna be on the road for 2 weeks. So, and I have $200. So for 2 weeks, I have like, okay, I have whatever, $16 a day or whatever ends up, I don't know, whatever it would be like. And then I'd have to think about it, about what I would spend my money on, like meals and whatever. So, because sometimes we would, buy food with band money, but most of the time it just went straight into the gas tank. And then a lot of the times you're paying for some of your merch up front, and then some of it you pay for when you get back. So when you get home, you're like, oh, you owe someone $500 for t-shirts or records.
Were you distributing as well, or like if you buy the merch, were you part of selling it on the road, or?
Yeah, so we would sell our own merch, and that's where really you'd make more of the money versus like getting paid from the show.
Is that why you went to merch? You're like, oh, this could get us money.
Yeah, and it was just like you could do like cool t-shirts, and like we put out a bunch of like vinyl records. So we did a 12-inch, we had, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 7-inch records. So, and that's like pretty common like in the hardcore punk scene, because like people like collect records, like vinyl. And so you would put out like a 7-inch, and you would do like one that's black, like normal color, and you do one that's like yellow and pink swirl, and you do like a clear blue one. So you'd have all these different color of the actual vinyl. And so some of the kids that were collectors would come up and they'd buy 3 records instead of 1 record. But you'd have these kind of like collectible things that you would make. And some of that was because I guess people started doing it probably to sell more, but looking back, I don't think we did it for that. I think we just did it because we collected records and it was cool. Like it looked cool. I mean, you would get this record, it'd be clear blue vinyl, and had your music on it. It was just
part of the group. Like,
it was just super neat.
Records.
Yeah.
So were you doing the designing because you had the design background? Or?
I did. Yeah, I did some of it. Yeah.
Did anyone else have like a business background or like any other like design background?
No. No, not really. So I think I used to describe myself as like the mom of the band, because like I was like booking the tours and like trying to keep everybody like on track a little bit. But so I was probably trying to be the most organized person on there, But this was also like we were going out and we didn't have GPS. So I remember the first tour we had GPS, and it was just like I had like this like I forget who even made it. It was like a touchscreen phone that had like maps on it. And before we would print out MapQuest directions to every like you'd be like print out to this city, and then you'd have the next one like in the folder to the next city, and then so you get to the town and you have to find your way to the venue, and if there was construction or something, then it's just you have to just figure it out, ask somebody, or But the first tour, I think we had any kind of smartphone that had somewhat of a map on it. I remember we were in New York City and like trying to like find our way. We had a trailer, and I can't remember which bridge or tunnel it is out of New York City, but you can't drive a trailer in a couple of them. I can't remember which one it is, but there's like one of the tunnels that you can take a trailer in, the other ones you can't. So we had to like make our way to the other one, and with this like GPS on our phone, and it was just, I just remember it being like just crazy. But yeah, so I don't think we were really thinking about it business wise at all. Like it was mostly just like this DIY band that we're just driving around.
It sounds like you
having fun.
Like some of those skills though started showcasing, right? Like booking, like all these things you said.
Yeah.
What are the things that you were doing then that actually translated into the business you have now?
So then it was like, I think a lot of it was being easy to work with, some of it, because I would either have to get on the phone and call somebody or send an email to someone I had never met before, because we would be, okay, we're driving through Birmingham, Alabama on this day and we don't have a show. And then I would find that there was a show happening. And so I'd have to find this promoter who was doing it, reach out and be like, hey, like, we're coming through town. Like, is there any way we could play this show? Like, could we jump on this show and play, doesn't matter where, we'll play first or last or whatever. So just like being able to like write this email to somebody that you've never met before definitely happens now in the business, because whether you're like pitching an idea to an art director or like having to like just communicate clearly through an email to somebody without it just being easy to work with, I think helps. Then I mean, I don't think any of like the estimates or invoicing I do now comes from that, because like we weren't making very much money. But maybe some of the budgeting, I guess, but still, like it was back then. I don't even think I really ever thought about the money. I mean, maybe we got stressed about it here and there if we were like, all right, well, we got to get we're in Ohio and we have $200 left in the band fund, and we have shows booked to Florida and back to Texas. So like, but it would always seem to work out where we would be getting towards the end of the money, and then we'd play a show and make $500 and be like, we're good for another 3 or 4 days, So yeah, it always seemed to work out. The hard times were whenever our band would like break down. Like we got stuck in Athens, Georgia for a few days one time.
Did you ever have to like play to make money to be able to fix something to keep going, or
yeah,
let's go get a gig so that we can come back and
I think when we were in Athens, I think we ended up playing a show and kind of just like pleading with people to buy merch. Please buy some stuff. We need to fix our van. We're stuck, And people are pretty sympathetic, and $10 here and there. But I'm trying to think of other times. Like there was a time in I forget what town we're in, but it was north of San Francisco, like right before you got to like the Redwoods, and we took our van and we got to the venue early, so we took off and we were like, all right, we want to go see the Redwoods. So they were like, they're like 30 minutes up the road, you go up this hill, up the mountain, and you go up this mountain and you go over and then you'll get to the Redwoods. So we were going, and we're coming back down the hill. We have the van with like 6 guys in it and this trailer full of equipment. We're coming down this like mountain, and our brakes like gloss over, so they like almost stop working. So we like pull over and they're like smoking, and they had just like something had happened to them where they just like crystallized or like glossed over or something where they weren't going to work anymore. So we went really slowly, like in first gear, down the rest of the hill, got to the venue, played the show, and then the next day we were like changing the brakes outside of like an auto zone. Like having to go inside AutoZone and like they would lend us tools so we could change our brakes. And we were just there. And like I don't think any of us had ever done it before. I think I like called my dad and he helped walk us through it. But yeah, that was kind of a weird day. Yeah.
That was kind of a weird.
Yeah. Like almost died coming down a hill because our brakes go out. And then we had to, we just figured it out,
Yeah. I think that's like one of the most useful things that you learn.
Yeah.
Is just, you will figure out, when you start like branching out, trying to go on your own, just having to do that kind of stuff. So having those years of, I don't know, as an outsider looking in, I'm sure there was a ton of stuff of just that honed you to be able to take the beating that it requires to do something that you want to do.
Yeah.
To go out on your own and be your own boss kind of thing.
Sure.
Kind of switching gears, not switching gears, but just moving past that. I guess I have a few questions. One of it is a little bit different, but what is your framework for kind of making decisions? So before we jump to there, let's kind of catch us up because we got to where you started doing photography.
Oh sure, yeah. Sorry, kind of went on a ramble with music stuff.
Coming back to that, coming to San Antonio and starting getting into photography.
Yeah.
And like learning the business side and like actually being like, okay, I have to make a business. Walk us through kind of some of those decisions and that initial stage.
So at first, whenever I was photographing a lot of like bands and stuff, but at the same time, I was just kind of like obsessed with the medium of photography. So for the first few years, like I would photograph anything that anybody wanted. Like, so I was doing like some weddings, I was shooting like headshots, I was photographing bands, I was doing family photos, I was doing food, like just anything people wanted. I was like, sure, like I'll do it. And
was it for free or was it?
No, I was charging. It wasn't, I don't remember if it was very much at that time, but I was charging something. And so maybe for some of my friends, probably it was free, sure, yeah.
How did you come up with that initial pricing when someone's like, do this, and you're like,
I think it was made it up, I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure it was just like something, because, and then because I was seeing like other equipment I wanted to buy and like other things, so I was like, okay, I need to make some money doing this. So around that same time, I got a call from a friend's dad, and he was the IT director at this place opening up on the west side called Haven for Hope. It's like a homeless shelter on the west side. And so he brought me on and to work in IT, which I had never worked in IT, but he knew that I knew how to like design websites. So I had like made websites for my friends and like done all that stuff just from like my design background. So he was like, okay, we need someone to do a website and maintain it for this company, but also we need like an IT person that we can train to help out there. So there was like 4 or 5 people on the IT team. So he brought me on there and I just did all like training on the job. So I worked there for like 3 years. So during that time I was still doing photography, but what that helped me was I got this salary job. So I was doing the salary job and I was doing photography on the side. And so every dollar I made in photography, I was just putting back into it. So I was able to, upgrade some of my gear and buy the lights I wanted to buy and like to start getting some of that stuff where I started feeling like limited by some of the gear that I had. Just because like I was like, okay, well I want this like big softbox because like I've been seeing like this other stuff and reading about how to achieve this quality of light or like to do this. And I probably can't get it using these like 4 fluorescent lights that I was hanging off of strings off the ceiling or whatever it was, you know? So I started kind of investing back into photo and doing that. And so then like, as I had this job at Haven, I really loved that job and everyone I worked with, but I'm on salary, so I'm kind of here, you know, which is like small raises here and there, you know, normal salary job. And so like my photo income was like slowly creeping up on it. And then at some point I got so busy doing photography that I just couldn't do it anymore. Like I was working probably like 70, 80 hours a week because I was working this normal 40-hour week job, and then all like evenings and weekends I was shooting or editing or, you know, doing all the other stuff. So I was just working just crazy hours but I loved it. It was fun. So I was doing that. I ended up going part-time at this job, at Haven. And then I ended up like being able to quit once the money kind of evened out. Yeah. And I think I was lucky that I was able to do it that way, because a lot of times I see people that are like, get really like, become like, fall in love with photography and want to be like, I want to do this for a job. And they'll just like quit their job and start it and like, I'm going to do this. But they don't have any clients. Like, they may have a few clients, but after 6 months, they have to go back and get another job, or they get burned out because they're stressed about like just paying their bills. Yeah. So I kind of did it like this, like slow, kind of safe way into building up kind of my clientele and my clients until I was able to kind of quit my IT job. But I don't remember the question if that rambled too far off of it. But yeah.
A follow on to that, like at this point, do you see that you don't have to work to get clients, or is it still?
No,
you still hustle.
I still hustle all the time. I'm still looking for new clients all the time. Like you can't.
Like you have to go out to find. They're not just like people just letting you because you're sick. I mean, I didn't even know about you until like, you know, a week before I contacted you. I just started seeing you everywhere. I'm like, oh man, this guy's doing all this stuff. So that's not people coming to you. That's you like.
Well, I mean, so a lot of my stuff is word of mouth, and I have a lot of clients that have like repeat people that have hired me over the years. You know, I do get a fair amount of emails, like people contact me to hire me and stuff, but I'm still like putting myself out there a lot. You know, I did like a print mailer this year, so I sent off like 1,000 postcards to people that never hired me before. I have no idea if that worked, you know, like.
Why print mailers? What drove you to be like, to make that decision?
I think seeing photographs in print is so much different than digital, just in general. And I do a lot of editorial stuff for magazines. So like you're sending your work to art directors and designers and photo editors that might work on magazines all day long. And so their main way of seeing images is in print. So I just think it has like a different look to it. You know, seeing something in print is so much better than like on a screen. So, you know.
That's why I started my magazine.
Yeah.
I've been doing digital stuff for 10 years, and I was like, I need physical, especially like that.
So, and then it's just like on the postcards, I like wrote a note on each postcard. So I kind of try to make them like a little bit more personal as I could make it to people I never met before. Yeah. You know, so I did that. There's a few like different websites that I'm listed on that I pay to be on that art directors go to because they're kind of curated lists. Like some of them you have to get kind of approved to be on. So they art directors kind of know that like this list, like this has been curated already a little bit. So they can type in like Pittsburgh and they can see like, oh, here's 10 people in Pittsburgh that.
Is that who you work with mostly? Is like you try to get art directors and that's how you get a lot of your work, or is it individuals?
most of it through like agents, like if it's ad agencies, it's either like an art director or it's like an account manager or like a art buyer somewhere in that world. But like, but then like at magazines, it's either like the art director or the photo editor, depending on how big the magazine is. So like the photo editor is kind of the person that goes out and like gives all the assignments and like manages all of the photographers to the magazine, and then the art director and the designers, kind of the people that lay out the magazine. So they're busy like working out the layouts and doing all that, and the photo editor's out finding photographers. So it kind of just depends on the level of the magazine, I guess. You know, how many people they have on staff. So, but yeah. So most of the work is to that. I mean, I do have like quite a bit of like just businesses that call me that have like a marketing team. So I work like directly with marketing teams a lot too, because not every business goes to like an advertising agency to work on redoing their website. Like they might be doing it in-house, or they might handle the photography in-house and then outsource the website, or you know. So
do you bid on jobs?
all the time, yeah.
And so you look at like opportunities and you're like, hey, I'd like to do that, and there's like several people that are bidding?
Yeah, most of the time I get bids by like I get requests. So people will be like, hey, we have this job, can you give us a bid? And then so then you kind of go back and forth with some questions like, what kind of job is this? Like, what is the licensing? Like, how many final images? Like, there's all these questions that kind of go into it to figure out like, is this a 1-day shoot or is this a 4-day shoot? Is it in town? Like, for photographing people, do we need a stylist and hair and makeup? Like, location fees. I mean, there's so many things that go into making a bid that it actually takes a long time, like, to put one together. Like, it's not something you just be like, hey, like, sometimes you'll get an email and it's just like, hey, real quick, we just need a bid on this job. And then you start asking questions, but a lot of sometimes I think they need like, they're told to get 4 bids, you know, but they already have someone in mind. So sometimes you get those and you can kind of see what they are. But yeah, I bid on stuff like every week or so, you know, and then you just kind of hope you get them, and you know.
What's like, I mean, you've been doing this for like a decade, right?
Yeah.
So like running your business, I think that's one of the things that interests me is like, it's one thing to be creative, it's another thing to be able to do that, and you have to run the business
Sure.
too. What are the things that just like really like that you don't like or about the business side, or maybe you could say to someone that's like really wants to pursue that?
So I would say the things that you don't like to do are the things that you need to outsource right away. Because like if you hate doing your books, or if you hate retouching, or if you hate like certain aspects of the job, like why do them? Like for whatever money it costs you to hire someone else to do it, I think you'll gain back in just like your just kind of mood, or your, you know, just like the everyday things. So like, for instance, like I do some of my QuickBooks, like I put everything into QuickBooks, but I have a CPA who they go in and they stay on top of like all my taxes. They do my income tax and sales tax and payroll taxes and all that stuff. So every quarter I'll just get an email. It's like, this is what you owe for this. Do you approve? Yes. So like, I'm not having to like worry about like, oh, when are the taxes due again? And then like, it's like, oh, it's due tomorrow, and now I have to stay up all night doing this, you know?
Yeah.
So I've like gotten rid of some things that I know that I don't like doing. Lately I've started, I hired someone to help me with retouching. And not that I don't like doing it, but it's very time consuming. So just being able to send off like headshots and other things to have like just do the general cleanup, like whatever, like, you know, simple skin retouching or flyaway hairs, or, you know, remove this trash can out of the background of the picture, or whatever it is that I missed. That has really saved me a lot of time. And I think I realized that after I had my daughter. I have almost 2.5-year-old. So after I had a kid, then I was like, realized like there's so much so much time spent at work, you know, and it's not like as important as like being able to like hang out with your kid. So like being able to like get rid of some of those things and then be home at like 6 o'clock versus like 9 o'clock was, and also it was, you know, that and to help out too, because my wife teaches 2 days a week, so her she's with our daughter all day long, and so then if I get home at like 9 p.m. then she just goes to sleep, you know, and then it's so. But yeah, I would say just like being able to like get rid of some of the things that don't make you as happy in the business is good, because then you can focus on other things. You can focus on being creative, or you can focus on getting new clients or learning new techniques, or like whatever it is you want to be able to like go out and get better at or focus your energy on. Like whatever money you spend like getting rid of things that you don't want to do, well, I think you make back just like pretty quickly, you know?
Yeah, I think of it like, for me, it's always like, how do you keep momentum? And
Yeah.
that's the first way that you're gonna lose a lot of momentum, is when you hit these things, you're like, I don't like doing it. And the more that you tack on in that, and actually, it's energy away from, especially at the beginning, like just getting things moving.
For sure, yeah.
Keep it rolling. A lot of people, I think, have that same thing, like just.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's easy to say in your position, looking back. It's harder when you're like in it. You're like, why? You know, you feel so like.
Well, yeah, and it's hard because like to say like, oh, I gotta spend this money now, you know, is hard. But the time that I've saved from retouching is time that I'm working on bids. It's time that I'm like trying to get new work, or I'm expanding on what I'm doing, or doing other things like getting better at what you do. So you're I don't know, just always like I'm not really a complacent person as far as like in this, where I like, cool, I'm good, I'm just gonna kind of roll, you know. It's like I look at stuff that I like, some photos I did like yesterday, and I'm just like, these are terrible, or like stuff that I did like a year ago, and I'm like, well, like why did I do it this way, or like did I have them stand this direction, or you know. So or why did I do the light like this, or why did I color correct it this way? Oh, all the time, yeah. Like I don't think like I mean, I could probably name just like a handful of photos this year that I'm just like, all right, I'm like totally happy with like this photo I made this year. It's very rare. I mean, because everyone's like, your own biggest critic is like, I mean, it's pretty like cliche, but it's true. Like, I think if you get too like, all right, cool, I'm good, then you're gonna kind of level off. And then if you start to level off, I think it's too easy to like go downhill.
Yeah.
You know, like gotta keep foot on the gas. You know, you know. But
so I know I want to kind of start wrapping up, but I have one last kind of like major question that I think, and then we'll go into like some like final thoughts and
sure.
things like that. But what habits do you have that helped you succeed? What habits did you already have that helped you succeed? And then what are some habits that you had to gain to get to where you are?
That's a good question. Wow. So habits I had to help me succeed, I think, is a work ethic is probably the number one. And I get that probably from my dad the most, my parents, my mom and my dad actually. So my dad owned his own business and just worked really hard at it. And then I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so my mom stayed at home with us most of our lives, and then ended up going to work with my dad after we all started, you know, being in school and stuff. But just the work ethic for my mom, just being like making like, I don't know, think about 6 kids running around the house, and like the amount of like things you have to like clean up, or just like manage all those personalities, and like just the laundry alone just like blows my mind. Like I can't even keep up with like my laundry as like one person, and you know, and then just like keeping up with all of us with just food and I mean all the things that just parents do, right? Like, so I think like the work ethic is very important because being self-employed, it's hard. I mean, I could come into work at 2 p.m. every day if I wanted to, but I try and like keep pretty regular studio hours where I'm here at like, I usually get here around 9:30, and then I stay till about 6. So I kind of like moved my day back an hour or so, maybe 6:30. So I kind of just miss traffic because I can, you know? And that, I think keeping kind of like some regular hours helps you because you're like, okay, then I'm going to get all my stuff done. And then I have like the evenings and the weekends where I can be at home. But I think the work ethic is probably the one that I've had since.
And you talked a lot, like you got that from your mom?
Mom and dad, yeah.
What were the pieces from your dad that?
So he like, my dad owned this company. And so he was just like, he was doing everything there, you know? So from like, he would be out.
Go in and like see him?
Yeah, so I would go, like me and my brother, we actually would work for him in the summers whenever I was like 14 and 15. We would just go and like help put together, like install garage. We probably actually didn't help much, you know, it was probably just, you know, we were just there because get 2 kids out of the house and go over there and sweep the floors and some stuff. But, you know, we did some stuff, but, so I think just like seeing like the work ethic from him, like being able to like run his business and have employees and stuff, has helped me because, and then what was the second part was like what I've had to learn.
Yeah, what are the habits that you're like, I don't have this, but they were the key part in you being able to have your own success.
So I think one of the things that I've really kind of come to realize from doing this for a while is that you really need to be like easy to work with. So like you have all these people that hire you, and there's a lot of people that make pictures. And there's a lot of people that can make pictures, but if your picture is like maybe a little bit better than someone else's, but this person is so much easier to get along with and so much easier to deal with, they're gonna call them every time. So it's like, and it's just part of my personality is that I like talking to people and I like to like become friends with people and like I want to be like, I don't know, somewhat liked, I guess. It's just part of you know. So being like having that like where I just like want to be easy to work with, I think goes a long way. Because then if someone reaches out and like, hey, we need these headshots on this day, and I'm like, great, let's do it. And like here's the price and here's what I think what we should do. And then I get there and it's just like we set up quickly, we knock them out, we give them a good product, and you know, it's not like there's no arguing there. There's no, you know, like just and there's lots of things that you could probably sit there and like just be super strict on or like want to argue about, but it's really just not worth it to me, you know. So I think that's like one of the habits that I've kind of just had my whole life anyway. Like I've always just been kind of an easygoing person, but for the most part, so I think that's really important. Some people ask me that, like, I want to do this full time, or like I want to be a photographer. Like, what do you think? Like, how should I go about like getting clients? And just like, you just need to be like easy to work with. If people don't want to call you, if they're like, oh, I really like Mark's picture, but you know, every time we email him, it's like this 5-page email about why he didn't like the last time. You know, like it's just not gonna. Like people don't have like. You have to think that like, especially at like bigger companies, like if you think you're busy, like they could be even like this marketing person, this marketing director at this like company that has 500 employees. Well, they're probably stuck in 3 meetings a day, and their phone's ringing, and they have to answer to their boss and all these things. And all they want from you is just they want you to come in and make some pictures, deliver them. They're good, and everyone's happy. You know, like you're not the most important person in their day sometimes. you know?
Yeah.
And as much as like you're the self-employed person who is a creative, that a lot of times you're kind of by yourself in your own world. So I'm here, I have a studio mate and they're here sometimes, but sometimes I'm here all day by myself. So whenever I like into somebody, like it's like, okay, this is just my world. But then you think about them and they're like, they're not just in your world. Like they have 4 bosses and they have to go into 6 meetings today and they just need your thing to be quick and easy.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of important, you know?
Oh, that's good.
And then there's one other thing that I think is important is that I have gotten like over the years of doing editorial stuff, like magazine things, I've gotten really fast at just executing, like setting up my lights and getting all my stuff set and getting the picture and knocking it out. And I think that's become, I hear it a bunch from people like, wow, that was fast. And I try to kind of like walk the line of like, don't be too fast because then you're just rushing and you're not going to make a good picture because you just wanted to get done fast. And also like not taking 2 hours to like 3 hours to set up all your stuff and get it all ready. And then they're sitting there waiting for you and you're like, well, hold on, like 30 minutes later, if you're like trying to mess with the light, like you need to know your equipment and know how to like do it. So whether that's like going in before and like doing light tests and getting it all ready and then like having some notes and being like, okay, well I need this, I want to use this beauty dish over here at like, you know, 2 stops brighter than this one, which is going to be my fill like a stop less or, you know, whatever that might be. I think that kind of goes a long way.
It comes with like doing. Though,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you've done so much work, right? There's nothing.
Yeah, that's
there's no
experience.
shortcut, right?
Yeah, there's not really a shortcut to that, you know. But like, as long as you like, you never want to be like unboxing something on set and being like, oh yeah, I just got this new camera. Oh, how does this thing work? You know, it's like.
So that leads me to I have this question. So how do you manage then kind of like keeping fresh new perspective versus like being able to like come in and deliver?
So what I try and do is a lot of the times like, so some of the work you see on my website is personal work and some of it is client work. So some of the work is like personal work that I've done for myself. There's no art director, there's no client. It's just, I called somebody or it's a friend or whoever it might be. And we just do some stuff for fun. And doing the personal work is really important because then you're like, you get to put your creative in there without anybody else's input. It's all you and there's no one else being like, I don't like that. I don't really like that color yellow. And you're like, or whatever it might be. So then like I'm putting out this personal work on my website and then people see it and say like, oh, I really love this picture. Like I want to hire you to do this. And then you're getting hired to do stuff that you want to do. So like, instead of like just putting out work that you think people want to hire for, it's like, I want to put out work that I want to get hired for. Like I really like this picture of the chef with pancakes on his head. And so I'm going to post it, you know, 3 or 4 times a year. And then eventually someone's gonna be like, hey, like this is really funny. We have this ad that has this humor to it and we think this is a good fit. And then I'm getting paid to do something, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think I answered that question, but.
No, you did actually. No, I thought that was really good. The other thing that other question I had was, I know you need to kind of like wrap up. So.
What time it is?
11:20. I have so many more questions. I'm going to narrow it to how about what two kind of main 2 more questions and then we'll end with like final thoughts.
Sure.
I think the first one we'll go to is what is the thing that like drives you? What is the passion that it could be anything? But what are the things that really get you up in the morning that drive you to do what you do?
So I would probably I just have like I think I've just always had like drive as far as just like wanting to go out and work and like have like that work ethic. So I think I have just like some initial just kind of drive from just my personality that I just want to go out and work. Um, and then I think a lot of it is like I have a drive to just like be better at what I do. So I just like constantly am like trying to like improve my craft and like wanting to learn new things. So I'm like always like reading like looking at photo books or like kind of like looking at what other people are working on and like seeing like how they've done it and like thinking about how I would have done it or my spin on it. And not in a way where I'm like looking at other people's stuff and be like, oh, I just want to make that picture too. Because there's, I think you could have the same subject and same lighting and have 3 different people photograph that person and it would all look different. Everyone has like a little bit of a different look.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just like constantly like the drive to just like get better at what I'm doing and like perfect it goes a long way. And then I just have like the drive just from like my family. Just I have so I'm just being self-employed and having a kid. It's like, okay, well, I want her to be able to not have to worry about anything while she's going through like high school and college. I want to be able to pay for college and like do all these things. So like I have a drive to like to have things for her where she'll be comfortable. So I think that's important to me too. So
you just actually brought up another real quick question. We'll
Yeah.
just go quickly at it, but this is like a big reason. I talked to one of my friends about this. One of the things that keeps people from being able to kind of make that leap and why you stay in like a stable job is healthcare.
yeah,
Like, so being on your own and having a family,
Sure.
having to support that, was that scary for you? Did you ever?
No,
you did it from the beginning, but it's like
yeah, it was. I mean, so like I didn't have after I moved here, like I didn't have any healthcare. Like I didn't have health insurance until I probably started working at Haven for Hope in 2009. So I don't think I had health insurance for 5 or 6 years.
Was that a factor in keeping you from making the jump? Was the fact that you had the healthcare with your job?
Well, I think it was part of it was that I knew I had the healthcare, and then part of it was like, okay, well, I know whenever I leave this, I'm gonna have to pay for it,
Yeah.
So now we're just kind of like, now we just like privately just like pay for healthcare. Like it's just like a second mortgage, basically, like how expensive it is. No, we just like pay for it now. But that stuff you definitely have to think about it, and I think some of that, like looking at how much your bills are every month is probably definitely a factor for some people, especially when they have kids. Thinking about like, can I do this full time or not? Because it's not just you, like I never really get sick. So like for the years I didn't have healthcare, like I probably went to the doctor like once a year, maybe, if even. But have you can't having a family, you have to have it, like I'm not gonna not have it. So I mean, like after you think about so many different things after you have a kid too. So like after my daughter was born, like I went and got like life insurance for myself and like we started like a college fund for her, like some other like all these like crazy like adult things that I had to like think about, because I was just like, oh well, what would happen like if something happened to me? And now it's just my wife and her, so you have to kind of like think about all these things. So it's just like
change when you have kids.
Yeah, it definitely does, right? And,
One of the things I always say is that I used to always think that it was important for people to have kids so that kids could know how to be good people.
Yeah.
But I realized it's completely the other way around, that it's important for adults to have kids because that's what actually teaches you how to be a good person.
Yeah.
You're gonna be so tired and just exhausted, and you just have to like take a breath and like show love.
Yeah.
And it's just it takes you to the edge. I used to think I was like a patient person, and then I had kids, and you're like, what happened? I used to be so kind and patient. They just know how to like get to you.
Yeah. So my daughter she's almost 2.5. So like she's starting to get some of that, but it's not quite like. I mean, she'll get there. I know like that she'll get there and like just probably, drive me crazy at some point. But right now she still is in the super cute phase where she just comes up and gives me a hug for no reason,
Yeah.
So
Okay,
she'll stay like that forever, right? That's how that works.
No, it won't be like that forever. But that's the fun part, though.
Yeah.
Is that
Last night I kind of said it earlier, but so last night we're at the Spurs game, and I had done, so she like has like a little coyote doll, and she like freaks out when he comes on the court. So I've done some photos with the coyote before. Last year we did some stuff together, like I photographed him for a magazine, and then we kind of like collaborated on some stuff that the Spurs used on their Instagram. And he's like super, super nice, like really creative guy. So yesterday, like he had told me if I ever come to the game to let him know. So yesterday I texted him like an hour before the game, just like, hey man, like we're gonna be at the game. These are the seats we're in. Like my daughter will be there. Like if you can come by, cool. If not, like no big deal. Like we're gonna be at more games this year. So like first quarter comes around, he comes running up to the seats, and she just like jumps up and like is just hugging him around his neck and just like won't let go. And she turns around and like, so we take some photos, and then he comes over and I take a photo with him and my daughter. And then like the guy with him like hands him like this coyote bag, and he starts pulling stuff out of it to give her. He gives her like a bracelet, and then he gives her a bobblehead, and then a t-shirt, and then like 3 signed posters that say like, Finley, I'm your #1 fan, love the coyote, and then a bag, and like just kept giving her stuff. And she was just like, and it was just like this, like she was so happy at that moment, but I was just like over, like it was just like I was blown away.
Yeah.
Like, and it's probably they have these like little kits that made that they give to like kids and stuff, but like for him to just like go over the top for that, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
cool.
anyway, she was just like, and then after the game, my wife wasn't at the game with us. She was she's in this like headphone opera that she's singing in, and so she had rehearsal last night, and so we got home, and Finley goes up to her and just, Mommy, coyote meets me. Like it's not that I met the coyote met her.
Yeah.
It was so, and she was just jumping up and down, and like it was, anyway, like I don't know how I got to that, but
We were talking about kids.
dude, it was wild. She was just so like, I've never seen her so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
I love how kids help you see the beauty of life. Like something simple like that a lot of people are like, I saw the coyote at the game. Like it wouldn't have even registered.
Sure.
She's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like they just pick up on these little nuances because they haven't been around for as long as we have.
Yeah. And she has her little doll. She has like little stuffed coyote, so she has this little doll, and she's like, oh, he's real. Yeah.
Okay. Just last question.
Sure.
And then I'll let you like have a final thought. There we go. So last question is, what would you tell 18-year-old you, or like your kids at 18, like that stage? What's something you want to tell them?
Oh man, don't drop out of college. No, just kidding. I'm actually fine with that decision at this point. But I think, what would I tell them? I would just tell them that they need to find, if I'm telling my kids, I would say that they just need to find something that they like, are passionate about and love to do. Because I don't think like just getting like a day, like nothing against anything, but it's like a day job, but like just having like just like a 9-to-5 job because that's what you're supposed to do. I don't think, I think there's stuff out there that you can be passionate about, you know? I would say just like if they follow like what they're passionate about, what they want to do is important. And I would say like just don't take everything too seriously, you know? It's like I take my work really seriously, but I don't take myself very seriously, like at all. Like I joke around way too much on set with like a CEO right in front of me that I'm photographing. I'll make like stupid jokes or dad jokes or whatever it is. And that like I probably shouldn't make, you know? Yeah. But I take like the work very seriously, like as far as like the integrity of it, and like making sure everything is like on point and good and sharp and all that. But yeah, so I would say that. If that's like the right answer or not.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And then just last question, just any final thoughts and like anything about what you want to say. So this is
Oh.
also for like people. That's kind of like the audience that I'm going for. It's things that I wish I would have done at 18.
Sure.
So it's a lot of younger people kind of just getting in. What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of. I think just being like kind of staying true to like what you want to do and who you are is important. And then like I would say if there's things that you don't want to do, like I kind of said it earlier, but I just like reiterate it a bit that like if there's things that like don't make you happy in what you're doing, like figure out a way that you don't have to do that anymore. Whether you kind of change the way you do things or you bring someone on to help you. I think if you kind of keep your days with stuff that you like to do, that you'll be more productive and you'll have more of that drive to like get better. Because if I was spent all day long like just filling out tax forms and doing stuff like really monotonous things that I don't want to do, I don't think I would I wouldn't have like the drive to like just be better all the time, because I would just be like, well, I'm just gonna be doing this for the next 3 days, and and just kind of, it's not firing anything mentally, you kind of just like here, like I kind of just always want to be just, moving up. But yeah, I think that's probably my final thought.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully I didn't mumble too much.
All right, now stay here.
Okay.